that you never be lonely. Be the fam, that's what they call me. I promise that you never be lonely. Be the fam, that's what they call me. I promise that you never be lonely. In these fast times, chasing lifelines.
And we're back. Few week absence. We weren't absent. We were still on the air. Recorded. The last two episodes were recorded before I left for Hawaii. Got back from Hawaii on Monday night, so now we're back for the Justin Spaulding Show, episode 16, 016. Episode 16. We have a couple questions today. Yo, good over there? I don't know. We can change that later, right? Yeah. So, always some type of technical difficulties. But yeah, the vacation, the Hawaii trip was good. I don't know if I'm looking tan or not. People are saying I'm looking tan. I'm like, I'm the whitest. Yeah, Marine says I'm looking tan. I'm like, well, one day when I was in Hawaii, I thought I was looking tan. Then I put my arm up next to my wife, and I was like, well, I'm not tan. I'm zero tan. I'm so pasty. I'm like the pastiest person at the pool always. Pastiest person at the pool. PPP. Let's jump into the questions right away. I'm ready to rock and roll. And we're running a little bit behind, so. All right, jumping into the questions. Location and how do you plan to staff? The whole COVID thing happened and people started working from home. They were like, they loved it. And I'm like, just give it a little bit of time, because before we got an office, so in like till 2016, I would be at my apartment and there'd be like 3 or 4 days in a row where I wouldn't leave because I was working from my apartment office, and that gets to just be a drag, that's for sure. And so I finally got to the point where, like, all right, I was going crazy. I'm like, all right, I got to get out of here. We got to get an actual office. So for a little while, I borrowed a little bit of office space, just like one room, would work out of there. And then we added Ava, and we were both working on that one room. I think we were there maybe for like 6-7 months, something like that. It was actually at one of the veterinary practices. We just took literally an office in the back corner, and had like 2 little spots, 2 little desks, and so that's kind of how it started. Because I was in the mindset, I was like, I don't want to spend money on office yet if we don't have a lot of people working on a corporate office. Because we had some employees, right? We had property managers and a couple maintenance techs and stuff like that. And I was still doing my direct sales thing, and doing direct sales, I didn't need office space, and just trying to save every dollar I could to then invest, right? So it was super lean. And so then we got to the point where we started to outgrow, just that one corner office, and we were just paying obviously like a month-to-month thing there just for the one room. And so then we got to the place where we're at now. I think we've been here for, it's our 3rd year maybe. I think it was a 3-year lease, and I think it's actually up this fall. And so I was slow to spend money on it, and now we're getting to the point though, like the place we're at now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 offices, the printer copier room, then the conference room, the little kitchenette area, right? And then we have the shop space in the back. And at first, when we moved in here about 3 years ago, 2 years ago, we had 2 of those offices I think were empty. And we had a lot of extra space. We weren't using the back shop space too much. We were using it here and there when we needed it. And we definitely needed the space, but we didn't need all of it. And now you look forward 2.5 years later, we've got Prime Painters that's working out of here. We've got Spaulding Group that's working out of here. And now we have those office spaces, and the one office, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 offices that have 1 person in it. And then we've got 1 office that has 3 people in it. The 3 people, it's the sales rep, marketer, and Modine content guy. And so it's not too often that all 3 people are in there. But, we're getting to the point where now if our chief operating officer is here, because she's out usually on site at properties and out and around. And then if we also have our regional manager here, who she's also out on properties around, not always working out of this office. But when we get them here, it's like we don't have enough room. And now they're working out of the conference room, which then on days when we have a lot of people in here, the place is like packed. And then in the morning we have painters coming in and out. We got 7 or 8 painters right now, and the shop space is just absolutely just jam packed with our painting supplies and the trucks and the ladders and all that equipment. And so we're actively looking for the next type of space. And people that I've, a couple people that are mentors of mine, they're telling me that, like, no matter what you do, get enough office space so you can grow into it. And number one, it's going to make you make a commitment, right? And it's really true, because once we got this office space, we were like, I was like, dang, like, we got this office space, we're not feeling it, and it motivated me to grow even more. I was committed because I was going to be here for 3 years. Like, let's build into it, right? Let's grow so that we need more people, right? And it's part of the infrastructure. When you have the office, you're going to fill it. That's my mindset. When you have the office space, you're going to fill it. So right now we're trying to find that next office space. And hopefully we buy, an office space that has maybe like 2x of what we need right now, because we're going to grow into it. We got another couple people that we're looking to hire that'll work out of the corporate office here pretty soon in the next couple months. And then if Prime Painters keeps growing the way it is, if, how I've kind of started to plan for what we need for square footage and what type of office space, I've actually got like a 3-year, 5-year kind of projection on where I want the businesses to be. And when I do those projections, I know my numbers enough, like, to get to this many units, we'll have this much of a head count. To get to this much revenue in Prime Painters, we'll have this many, painters, this many trucks, this much equipment. We'll have this many marketers and sales reps and project managers and et cetera, et cetera. We'll have this many bookkeeping people, admin people. We'll have these many, people that we'll have to host on site for trainings, if we want to do in-person trainings, where we get all of our property managers in here, all of our maintenance techs, all of our leasing agents in here, and our, COO and regional managers, they do some trainings and stuff. We're going to need space for all that stuff. We don't have the space to do any of that now. We're in the conference room right now, and when we have a meeting, I can't even have a meeting in the conference room with all of our painters, because there's just not enough room. Right. So, and then even other divisions of the company, you just run out of room. And so we need more space, and it's part of the infrastructure. I believe in, I truly think, and now you're starting to see more articles in the Wall Street Journal, CEOs and everyone kind of changing their mind on this work from home thing, and they're wanting to get back in the office just because of the engagement. It's hard to motivate people, and it's hard to know your people and have teams working together when they're never ever together. And technology is great, and definitely Zoom and all those things will be used much more going forward than they ever were before, and people will travel less, but people are not going to want to work from home forever, right? We got like parents just like ripping their hair out when they were having to stay home during COVID because their kids were being homeschooled and they were home and trying to work from home, and then their hours were, being stretched out even more because now their office is their home, which happened to me all the time too. I still work 80, 90-hour weeks, whatever, 100-hour weeks here and there. But it was like I worked even more when my office was my apartment, because it was just always there, right? It was one step away. It was hard to completely get away from. So it really drove me crazy. So I'm all for office. But that's how I plan. So just talking about location, it depends what type of business you are, right? I mean, but also like any kind of business, the more visibility you have is usually better as well, right? So I'm looking for a place that it's visible, but yet for a painting company, that's kind of weird, I think, because with garage space and all that stuff, they're usually more, I feel like, off the beaten path a little bit. But with our property management company and Prime Painters sharing a space, I'd rather have it be a little bit more visible so we can brand the building and have signs and all that stuff. And so who knows what's going to happen with it. That's just a high level, my mindset from a high level standpoint. Then as far as like going back into a little bit deeper on how to plan for staff, you got to make some projections in your business and where you want to be, right? And as you grow, you might not know it yet. If you're just starting, you might not know like how many people you're going to need for X amount of whatever business, for this amount of revenue in your business, right? As you start to go down the path and start to have some success in your first year, 2 years, and if you have really big growth plans, you're going to start to get an idea of how many people that you need based on whatever those KPIs are, or those numbers are for your business, whether you're pumping out widgets or whatever it might be. You're going to have an idea how much space you're going to need, how much capacity you're going to need to have available to you to grow into, right? And so we're at a standpoint right now where, well, actually, so I'll go a little bit more deeper in that. I know that our for every one painter, they will produce ballpark, 100 and just doing all the top of my dome. So it'd be a ballpark. They would produce ballpark. I think it's ballpark $175,000 per painter is what they're going to produce. So if I know that I want to have $1.7 million of revenue, I'm going to need ballpark, 10 to 14 painters, depending on their skill level and all that stuff. Now, someone that's less skilled, they're going to produce maybe 110,000. Someone that's really skilled can produce 170, right? So at least in Wisconsin, that's the numbers. Depending where you're at, numbers might be different. So now I do the math, right? How many trucks am I going to need? How much equipment am I going to need per team, per crew, right? And then how do I want to store that equipment? Like, am I going to, if I want to have it all on site, and if I want to get my vehicles out of the garage in the winter, that you're going to know how many trucks you'll need based on how big you want to grow to. And if maybe that revenue number is $6 million, right? How many painters are you going to need? How many crews does that give you? Do you have 2 or 3 man crews? How are you usually working? Right? Do you have 4 man crews? Do you just work in 1 man crews? Right? That'll tell you how many crews you have. How many trucks do you need per crew? And not just trucks. It could be the vans. It could be, whatever. Then how much equipment do you need per crew? How many 24-foot ladders, 30-foot ladders, 10-foot ladders, the little giants? How many sprayers do you need? How much inventory are you going to have, right? And then all of that is going to give you an idea. I'm throwing my microphone around here. All that is going to give you an idea of how much space, like shop space, you need. I'm having real troubles with the microphone here. It'll tell you how much shop space you're going to need, right? But then also, if you're going to want to have all hands on deck meeting with your painters, like how much meeting space you're going to need. You're going to just do the meeting space in the shops and get the trucks out, even when it's snowing and stuff, keep the trucks out of the shop and whatever, and have meetings in there. Hey, great, do it. Do you want a conference room? Hey, well, you better know how many people you're going to have to fit in that conference room. Then on the property management side of things, I know that if we have 100 units, we're going to have 1 manager there. We're going to have 1 maintenance tech there. If it's a 400 unit property, we're going to have, between property managers and leasing agents, there'll be 4 of those. And then between maintenance, there'll be about 4 of those. And now you get to that size property, you also might have 1 or 2 grounds people that are working full time, right? So you might have 8, 9, 10 employees there, 8 to 10 employees at that property, right? Well, if you want to grow to 4,000 units, and if you're going to want to bring all those people to corporate for training together and to build culture, and even if it's not the entire company every time, maybe it's once or twice a year to the entire company, and then maybe you do it in sections. How big of a conference room are you going to need for that? How big of a learning center? If you're trying to seat 100 people, you might not need it. I don't know. We want to be able to do that type of stuff, so that's what we're kind of looking at. I know that if we have, one regional manager will oversee 1,000 to 1,800 units. I don't have the exact number yet, but it's probably somewhere in that ballpark, right? So now, if we want to go to 10,000 units while we're going to be in the next lease or we buy this building, we're going to know how many corporate staff between bookkeepers and our controller and admin people and HR people. We're going to know how many people we're going to have at the office, and now it's just a square footage calculation. You can find like square footages online on usually how big offices are, how big cubicles are, if you're going to have some people working in cubicles. It's going to give you an idea what type of space that you're going to look for. And then when you commit to that office space, part of it is the commitment, man. And I know some people are like, oh, you're going to get burned because if it doesn't work out, you're going to have bought this building or you're going to be in this lease. It's like, yeah, but I'm going to definitely be committed to where I'm going, and we're going to get there. If I'm committing to these things, we're going to make it happen. Right. And I've always pushed myself to an uncomfortable position to be able to make things happen. So that's a little bit on the office space. Does some of that stuff make sense, Modine?
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing. Like, you're gonna know how many laptops you're gonna have to buy based on headcount. You're gonna know how many desks, so you'll have an idea of what you're gonna need to get to grow into. And the other thing is if you're short, okay, well now you just have better plan on getting a second office not too far away or something. Right? I don't know. Those are good problems to have if you're growing. But that's how I've started to view this now. Just over the last like 8 to 14 months, I've started to look at, okay, the type of space that we're going to need based on the goals that we have around here. And to do it right way, to have the infrastructure right. It's all part of the infrastructure. People are the infrastructure. Your office space is the infrastructure. Your technology is infrastructure, and hopefully you invest in those things, and then they give you a return based on how efficient you can work. The type of teamwork and collaboration you have. Which when you have 1 horse pulling a wagon, they say something like it can pull 20,000 pound wagon or something like that. If you have 2 horses, they can pull a 300,000 pound wagon, right? It's exponential. And it's the same thing when you have collaboration with really talented people. Like myself, I could do $1 million, but if it's, Ava, CJ, and myself as executives, we can do $25 million. Right, so it's an exponential type thing, and it's part of the infrastructure that you have to invest in that a lot of people don't want to invest in because they're like, oh, I'm going to do this all by myself, or I don't need an attorney, I can read it. Good luck building a business that way. That's how I view it. Hope that helps. Adrian up there, what's he saying? When making offers on multifamily deals, Adrian said that he sent an LOI to a 24-unit owner off market. He responded to me this morning. He said it's not as high as he wants price-wise. And then Adrian goes on to say he is motivated. How do you negotiate with an owner who doesn't give you what his goal price is? His goal is on what he's doing when selling, ? Thanks, Justin. He could just be jerking you around, Adrian. And I don't know. If I were you, I would, if you offered like your best, is it your best offer? I don't know. If it's not your best offer, put your best offer in. And if he doesn't take your best offer, well, then so be it. It's not meant to be. Go find the next deal, right? You're not going to, just because someone's motivated, whatever, you're not going to ever make every single deal that you come across work in real estate, but then also in business. I tell Ryder this all the time, Maudine, when Ryder comes in, he's like, oh, but if we just adjust the price this much, I'm like, dude, it's just not meant to be. Like, we're not going to lower our price to make it work for this customer. Like, our price is our price. I can't just go into Best Buy and say, oh, I'll give you this and start negotiating. Best Buy's price is Best Buy's price, right? Well, maybe Best Buy should be, because I think they're struggling business-wise, aren't they? They struggle in business? Or are they like, I don't know. But I can't negotiate with Amazon. Like, I can't really just go to Amazon. I have this widget on there. And I don't call Jeff Bezos and say, I want to lower my price. I'll lower my price. So I tell Ryder the same thing. Not every deal is meant to be, and we don't want every single deal. And Adrian, when you're talking about this in multifamily, you don't want every single deal. So it doesn't matter if he's motivated or not. If you have not given your best offer, and it's truly not your best offer, freaking throw out your best offer, dude. Like, stop thinking that you have to buy it as low as possible, dirt cheap. Like, if it's a good deal, if you're excited about the deal, like, and you look at it from all different angles and it just excites you, from a cap rate angle, from a price per unit angle, from an overall price unit, from an overall price angle, from if there's rent disparity, if there's value to be added, or if it's already cash flowing a lot. Like, if it meets all that criteria and gets you excited in all those different areas, make sure you put your best offer out there. Don't just try to lowball the dude. You can start by lowballing, like maybe what you just did, but that might be your response, right? Now, again, if that was your best offer, now just walk away. On to the next one. But what you need to do is you need to stay in touch. And now Adrian just replied. He said it's not his best offer. Got you. Cool. Thanks. So Adrian, if you're still watching, how much lower were you from your best offer? So what I'm trying to get is like a percentage. Like, if your best offer was $1 million and you offered 25% less at 750, like how low below your best offer were you? But the seller's goal price, Adrian, should not necessarily matter to you. Like, yes, it helps and is helpful because it could just, but I don't give up a goal price. I mean, well, usually I do, because usually when I do sell something, I list it and that's our price. I don't come off of it. So anytime I've sold something, I've listed something and the brokers come back, hey, you got an offer, but it's $25,000, $250,000 less than what you asked for. I said, nope, sorry, I'm not interested, right? My list price is my where I'm at. But yeah, Adrian, I would depending where you're at, I would, like, if you're well under your best offer, then maybe bridge the gap a little bit, start to come up a little bit. If you're already close to your best offer, just give him your best offer. Or, another thing that could impress him and get him to talk to you is just say, all right, just to be completely transparent with you, I know my last offer was $750,000. Honestly, my best and final that I can do is $997,000, right? If that's your best and final, and just be honest with them, put it out on the table and see if you can get the conversation moving forward. But you can't be so attached that you can't move on from the deal, right? You can't be bent out of shape. You can't be trying to make something work. You can't fit a square peg in a round hole, right? Unless the round hole is really, really, really big, square peg. But you can't fit a big square peg in a round hole, a small round hole. And if you're trying to force it, Adrian, you're wasting your time. You need to go out and find another deal. let's bring up the next question. Hope that helps, Adrian. All right, question is, what is a day in your life? Are you an early riser? I think some people make more of a big deal out of this than they need to. They think that it has to be the same every single day. And I'm someone that I'm very much like, if I'm exhausted, I have no problem sleeping in sleeping in for me is like 8:30 or 9. That's a really late sleep in for me. I have no problem sleeping in if I have to. Like last night, I was up until 2 a.m, just couldn't sleep, whatever. Just got ahead on emails, got ahead on some other stuff. I usually I'm up between, anywhere between 5:30 and 6:15. This morning, I slept until 7:05, and I crushed it. I got up and I crushed it. I got ready in like 15 minutes and just left and got to the office. I got to the office a little bit later than I normally get to the office. I got to the office at 8, which is usually when everyone else gets to the office, but usually I'm at the office between 6:30 and 7:15, right? So for me, it's based on how I don't like to say this, because if you just go based on how you feel, you're never gonna ever accomplish things. But at certain times when you need a little bit more rest, then you just get a little bit more rest, right? Like that's how I operate. I get not everyone can do that, and like the people that work for me, Maudine can't really just show up whenever he wants. But you shouldn't judge yourself if usually you're an early riser and you want to be a grinder. On a Saturday you end up sleeping in because like on a Saturday Maudine ended up sleeping in because we just like crushed him this whole week and put so much work on his plate, and then he gets upset. Oh man, I didn't wake up at 6 a.m. like I should, like all these successful people do or whatever. Like if you're exhausted, you need the rest. Your body needs rest. Like take a rest, right? Do I sleep? Do I do that every single day and whatever, or do I break? Let's just put it this way. It's a range for me. I don't have set times, right? So let's say 5:30 to 7:15 on a weekend or a day that I'm not working. There are times where I will sleep until 8 to 8:30, right? Then you talk about like a day in your life, or talking about am I an early riser? And then the other question is, okay, do you go to bed early or late? And it's like, anywhere from there are nights I'll go to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock, right? But then I would say usually the average is probably between 9:50 and 10:20. That's probably the average, but the average is probably a little bit later than that. But then there's also nights like last night I was up until 2 a.m., right? And that's just how it happens. So I laid down at last night at like 11 or whatever, and I couldn't fall asleep, and so I just got up, and I'm like, if I can't, I'm not just gonna lay there. I'm just gonna get up, do something until I get tired, and then go to sleep. And as far as like a day in my life, there's some people that are very, very structured with their calendar. There are some people, like I'm not very structured with my calendar. I don't book myself out too far as like, I'll commit to meetings obviously that I want to commit to right away, and I'll get them on the books. But my thing is I don't schedule. I try to get it done now. I try to do things that are important. I'm the type of person that when I start a business, I want to get to revenue. I care more about getting to $1 million revenue right now than I do about making business cards first. I'm so backwards in that, where we do things. I will do things counterintuitively to other people. They're like, wait, you don't even have a business card yet? I'm like, no, because I'm out here trying to get revenue. You're trying to get a business card. I'm trying to get revenue. And so what I'm saying is I focus on the absolute most important things. I am not filling my calendar with just a bunch of junk and BS. That's not helping me or us, or the company, get to where we're trying to get to. So therefore, my calendar, I'm always busy. I've always got stuff going on. But my calendar is relatively open. Like, especially like if I look at my calendar right now, it's booked like now this afternoon. It's booked the entire afternoon, right? Because things filled up. But like Monday, right now on the calendar on Monday, I've got one thing on my calendar that's like a set in time thing. Now I've got a lot to do on Monday. And I've got my list of to-dos, but as far as a set time of when something has to be done, I've got something at 2:30. Tuesday, I've got 2 events already. Wednesday, I've got 1 event. And then Thursday and Friday next week, I've got no events. But then what happens is, once again, when something pressing comes up, or when someone says, hey, let's get something on the books, and if it's important enough for me, like I'm doing it in like 15 minutes from now, because I want to shrink that time. I don't want to expand that time. And then I do not want to fill my calendar with a bunch of BS that then ties me up so I can't take on the most important things to move forward, right? So that's kind of how I view that. I try not to, I try not to think too much about that. Like there's so many people that they got to be just like, and it's, I don't know. And I think it's more of just this is a day in my life type thing. And I don't know. Adrian says, going back to Adrian's question, current NOI and market cap rate of 5% value was showing 4.616, offered well below around 3 million. Appreciate the insight, going to look at it from a couple different angles and sending highest offer. Okay, cool. Current NOI and market cap rate of 5% value. 5%. Adrian, what location is this? Because 5% cap rate for a 24 unit seems crazy, but it depends where it is. I mean, we're at like a 5.5% cap rate, but it's we're at close to 200 units. 24 units, not as much scale. Usually you don't see as compressed cap rates. But if you're in New York City, that's different. If you're in Philadelphia, that's different. If you're in a really, really sought after location, that's different. So it could be. And then if you offered well below around 3, and if that's the true cap rate, Salt Lake City, and Salt Lake City's hot right now, so that's probably right then. So it probably is a 5% cap, and that puts the value at 4.6. And if you offered around 3, now you're Adrian, it could be around 4. Now he's also saying Salt Lake City, it could be around 4.75% according to some property management companies, and it could be. Salt Lake City is on fire, from what I've heard. Utah is on fire. So if you're offering well below 3, that means you're closer to like an 8% cap rate ballpark. And I know that obviously won't do it. So, and what we're having to do too, Adrian, is we're having right now, like the first handful of deals I did, a couple years ago, we were putting 20% down. We're coming to the table now with 25 to 26% down towards, the loan. But then on top of that, another 3 to 5% in excess cash to be able to close the deal, obviously, because you have a lot of other expenses and closing costs and whatever. We can't be as skinny anymore just because, yes, like pricing has gotten a little bit tighter, and I'm not as comfortable with going, and sometimes it's even hard to get the non-recourse debt at 80% LTV right now. So you might just have to put more cash down as well. All right, Madine, I think next question. The question, this is a question that comes up kind of regularly in my direct messages. Question is, where do you go to analyze 100 deals to make 10 offers to buy 1 to 2 online? So obviously this person follows me quite a bit because I talk about this. When I'm looking at deals, they come across my desk, and if I'm not interested, I'm not interested. I just throw it away. I mean, I don't even hardly look at it. I just can tell by the area. I can tell by the asking price, the cap rate, the price per unit. I can look quick to see what rent disparities around. And I've got to know our market so well that I don't even necessarily have to look, and I'm so in tune with it. I don't necessarily have to take too much time. From a high level, I don't like it, swipe it, I go away, move on to the next one. So obviously he's hearing me say this, that I look at 100 to make offers on 10 to buy 1 or 2, right? We go online. So we go to CBRE, Marcus and Millichap. We go to, if you look up firms, there's like 15 different brokerages. A couple of them are more boutiques, but that's where we go. And if you just Google real estate brokerages, you'll find it. Now, some of those bigger firms, they have a lot bigger deals then they don't have as many small deals. The MLS is another place to go if you're looking for the 4 units, the duplexes, the 6 units, 8 units. I mean, I found the $33 million deal we closed in January was on the MLS. And so you can go to the MLS. A big thing, man, is marketing. And I shouldn't say man because this could be a gal asking this question as well. But the big thing is networking and just getting your name out there. Once you close on a deal with a broker, you are going to end up, obviously, that broker is going to want to bring you more deals, right? So once I closed with one broker, he ended up bringing me another one like 5 months later. Brought me another one. We closed, and it was off market as a pocket listing, right? That would have never happened if I didn't close the first one. So going back to Adrian's point about the pricing, dude, sometimes you just got to get in the game so that you become more known and then deals start to come to you. So it might be a little bit higher hurdle for you and harder to find 100 deals or to get your first one or whatever, but it's an investment a little bit too to get your foot in the game, to get your foot in the door, to get into the game so that other people start to know you, right? And then for us, like the things that I do online, so on my Instagram, my Facebook, like this podcast, I don't just do this for fun. I have a lot of fun doing this. I have a lot of fun doing Instagram. If it were not for my businesses, I would be the person that would never be on Facebook or Instagram. I consume, of the time that I spend online, I consume maybe 1% of that time. I hardly consume anything. My sister's like, "Oh, didn't you see that post?" I said, "No, I hardly consume anything." And so I use those as tools to get my name out there. So then hopefully, like, with the post that I had from Florida last week about us signing the PSA there, I can't even tell you. I added another 10 to 12 people that have pocket listings to my Rolodex that have already shot me a handful of deals, right? And actually there's one that's very appealing to me right now. The other ones kind of, I just looked high level, once again, tossed them away, but it's, in a matter of a couple of days, I had 12 come across my desk, right? And so it's not just online, it's every way possible, right? It's the same question when people ask me, how are you guys getting jobs in prime painters? I'm like, I don't, by any means necessary. Knocking on doors, cold calling, we pay for leads, we do Facebook and Instagram marketing. We have follow-up. We're getting follow-up processes in place to follow up with current customers that we've already used regularly. Hey, how'd you like the job? Do you have any other painting jobs coming up? Any referrals to stay in touch with people, right? So over there, by any means necessary, we'll work with restoration companies, we'll work with property management companies, businesses, whatever, right? And it's the same thing here. It's by any means necessary. But the bigger your Rolodex are, the more people, the more attention that you have, the more attention that you can get, the more deals that are going to flow to you that give you more opportunities, more at bats. Because half of what I see is listed on the market, and a lot of those deals I get to see before they go to market now because they'll give me a heads up that it's coming out, and I'll kind of have a jump on everybody else. The other half of the deals are like off market or pocket listings. Now, the only way those off market and pocket listings get to me is by being known, right? I either closed the deal with that guy before, like I said before. They found me on LinkedIn and saw what I was posting, that we were growing and that we're active, right? People will want to bring you deals if you're active. They do not. They're getting paid. Most of the time, if people bring you deals, they're getting paid if you're going to transact. If there's no transaction, then you're going to jerk them around and waste their time and have not performed before, odds of them bringing you a deal is very small. So taking massive action and progressing forward and actually making moves will also help you get to be able to analyze 100 deals, to make offers on 10, to buy one or two of those. It's going to get you more quantity. You just casted a much wider, much larger net. I think that's the last question already, isn't it? We had 3 questions was all today. So that being said, let me see if Instagram had any questions quick. If, just while I'm scrolling through Instagram looking here, if you guys are accredited investors that are watching, I do have some questions on Instagram Live that we'll get to in a second. But if you are an accredited investor, if you know any accredited investors, we do have another deal that we're going to be closing mid-June. Reach out to me. We can get you into our data room so you can take a look at the private placement memorandum and all that stuff to see if it's something that you'd be interested in. We're really close on this thing. Will probably be fully accounted for as far as the equity in a few days. We're already around. I think we only need like $1 million more. I think we're sitting at like $1 million more. We're already about 6.5 to 7. We're raising like 8 to 8.25. So. And I just shot the emails out last week. So I'm cruising there. But if you guys are accredited, let us know. It's an awesome deal. 2007 to 2010 build. It's one of the newest properties that we've bought or been a part of. And it's about just shy of 200 units. We are getting unreal pricing on this deal, I think. We're paying ballpark $150,000 per unit. Comps down the road have sold for $225,000 a unit. It's off market, and so it's a deal that we're super excited about. We're plowing through due diligence right now. We have term sheets coming from lenders next week, and everything's looking really, really good on it as we've started to do the due diligence. We've got the on-site inspections and stuff coming up over the next 10 days or so. And let me know if you're interested, because I can add you to our list. If you're not already on the list, you'll get an email. You can sign up. You're going to get access to our data room, and then you can also get, from that point forward, whenever we do get deals put together, you'll always be on that list where, hey, we have another, like I have an email blast that'll go up to like 400 people or so, and forever forward, you'll be aware of our deals. So someone asked here, who handles your property tax estimates for new acquisitions? And then continued question is, or currently handles assessment appeals. So currently for the property tax estimates for new acquisitions, we work with JLL. We have been working with JLL on these large purchases, and they've been a great mortgage broker essentially, but they really go above and beyond. They've been great to work with, and they do a lot of research on, other transactions and the results of the property tax after those transactions have occurred 1, 2, 3 years later. So I have what I do is I always will look up like the property that I'm buying. I'll look up online their real estate tax information, and on there I can see how the assessors are assessing those properties. I can see what percentage of the assessment will be of market, because usually that percentage is on there, and it'll say 85% or 90% or 95% or 100% of market value is the assessment value. And then once you have the assessment value, you take the mill rate to it. And you can find the mill rate on the tax bill as well, or figure it out. You can figure it out. And so then once I figure that out, year one, I usually keep the taxes the same. Year two, it's pretty standard for me to then take the purchase price, multiply by the assessment ratio, and then multiplied by the mill rate. I've been pretty close. I'm pretty right on our last couple of transactions. And then I have JLL. They kind of confirm it just based on other comps and all that stuff. I don't spend a ton of money on it, because if to me it's like, you never are going to get the exact number. You're never going to exactly know what's going to happen with the real estate tax. But the best that you can really do is look at the comps and what's going on in the area. And anyone can really find that. So for me, I haven't really found it useful for me to pay an advisor a ton of money to be able to do that stuff. And then currently our assessment appeals, we have an attorney out of Chicago currently that's taking care of that stuff. And we kind of have an agreement that if it's lowered by X amount, he'll get an X percent of that savings throughout the year. So if our real estate taxes, for example, were $200,000 a year, when we bought the place, they explode up way higher than we thought to $500,000 a year. That attorney will fight that for us, and then if he gets it down to $300,000, he gets a piece of the savings between the $500 and the $330, which is $170,000. So it's good for us. It's good for him. We don't have to pay him if he loses, and for him to look into it, we don't pay him anything. So it's all basically on performance. Let's see. No other questions on Instagram, I think. And if it interests you too, and people are still watching this, whether it's live on the recording or listening to this, if it's of interest to you too, just going back to, I was talking a little bit about how we grew our team and grew staff earlier. I can go a little bit more into, I know I have another podcast going on like how we select people, but I can go more into how I'm planning for the future, because I kind of have some documents and stuff that I use, and I kind of draw it out, and I can kind of show how our company has kind of changed over the last couple of years, and then I can share like where we're at now, and then I can share how I project forward to help answer that office question, to help answer, how do I know who I have to have for a team, et cetera, et cetera. The other big thing with a team is like, don't try to do everything by yourself. Like, get yourself out of the positions that you're not best at. That's why I hired, that's why Ava's here, because she's way better at the in-depth. I have a great understanding of how it works from a high level, right? And but then some of those details, like, I don't know, and Ava takes care of them. Same thing, hired CJ because I got to a point where like I'm good at finding the deals. I'm good at finding the opportunity. I'm good at securing debt. I'm good at finding investors. I'm good at getting in touch with owners and networking, use my network to find the opportunities as we start to bite off more deals. I'm not the best person to manage and oversee the management team directly. Again, I know how to do all that stuff. I know the steps. It's not my strength. So we hire someone, right? I'm not like my time and just with what I'm doing, my time's not best made for spending all my time creating content. So we hire content creators, right? Ryder was doing it, and now Ryder's kind of got promoted, or whatever you want to call it, has switched directions as a sales rep. Now we got Maudine here, right? I'm not doing the sales rep for Prime Painters because I can go out and do these big deals. I hired a sales rep for Prime Painters because that's not the best use of my time, and sales is a strength, but I'm not doing bookkeeping work like, because there's even parts of my personal life I don't do bookkeeping work, where I'm starting to offload it now, because it's like me doing that, me taking my time to do that is not the best and wisest use of my time. So when you're building a team, you really got to figure out, especially early on, you really got to figure out like, what can you take off your plate that, if you can go out and put together. I tried to tell Ryder this. He bought, the 7 units, and he was like, should I just go and mow the lawn and shovel by myself? And I said, that's what I did for the first couple months when I bought mine. But if you're in here selling jobs and you can make $100,000 if you crush it, $120,000 if you're really crushing it in Prime Painters, why, which results to, how many dollars an hour, $50, $55, $60 an hour, whatever it is, why would you go do something that you can pay someone else $10 an hour to do, or pay a company to do $100 per push or whatever? Because now it saves you time from driving down there and driving back and doing something that you shouldn't necessarily be doing based on the opportunity cost, right? And so that's different for everybody though. Also, like, shoveling snow is probably not his strength. Like, he's good at sales. Like, this shoveling snow, like, why do something that's not necessarily your strength? And so sometimes for business owners it's hard, but they just have to learn to give things up and let go, and focus on focus the majority of time on what they're really good at and drive that, and then get really good people in place who you enjoy being around, who fit your values, who want to grow with you and whatever. Get those people in place so that they can help you and do what they're good at, right? That's the point of hiring people, so that you can scale and build something a little bit more significant and meaningful, and so that you can focus on doing what really is growing your business. So, all right, that being said, what do we got? 42 minutes in. Okay, so that's going to be good for today. So if you guys join us next week, please leave us questions. This week partly was my fault because I think I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back through my phone because I think I do have more questions from one of the previous podcasts. I didn't have time to go through my phone today, and I took so many pictures in Hawaii, and my phone's a cluster. But do us a favor, send us some questions, whether it's through Instagram direct messaging, replying to my stories when I ask for questions, sending us and leaving us a message on YouTube or Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. Ask us questions. Hopefully we have 5 to 7 questions for next week that we can get to, and have a lot of fun doing this show. If you haven't done yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please refer us to someone that would get a lot of value out of this. If they wouldn't get value out of it and it would be a waste of their time, forget about it. Don't do it. But if you know that these people would get value out of it, please share. That would be awesome. If you have not picked up my book yet, go to justinspaulding.com. Pick up the book. We've been getting a lot of great reviews on that thing. People have loved it. I've not gotten one person pissed off that they bought the book and they shouldn't have. So if you guys could share, Eddie, what's up, man? So please share. But that being said, have a great weekend. I'm moving this weekend. We got two more nights of sleep in the current place we're at, and we're moving all of our stuff on Sunday. We actually closed the other day, and we're still technically renting, but we closed yesterday. So we'll be in there on Sunday. So that's exciting. Probably gonna be some stress. We got a moving company coming. Everything's all packed up. My wife did 99.9% of the packing and all that stuff and taking care of that. I did hardly anything, but we have a moving company coming on Sunday, and I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit stressful and whatever. Not stressful, but irritating just in the moment. I hate doing that stuff. I hate moving. I hate packing. I hate packing. It's like when I go on trips, Modine, I hate packing. Same thing like when I'm moving. I hate packing. I hate doing laundry, and I hate cooking. Those are the 3 things that I hate.
I moved from continent.
How many boxes did you bring with you though?
Because we get to
Mm. Pretty much left everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Modine, I didn't realize until so when Michelle sent out the thing on our new hires for the week or whatever when you started. Was that this week?
Yeah.
It's been a long week. It feels like it's been. I mean, you've been around here a little bit, but so this week I posted Modine in on my story because we send out whenever we have a new group of hires or a new hire, one of our administrators she'll put together like a little thing on them. And Modine speaks 3 languages: Albanian, right?
Yeah.
Albanian, Italian, and English. And you just learned English 3 years ago, right? Because he and in there he had to he when he first came to America knew 0 English, so he was using like Google Voice or something, right? Or Google Translate or something, Google Translator on his phone. So yeah, immigrated to the United States. So and you just left everything, huh? You guys sell it? You guys sell anything, or you just pretty much got on the plane? Renting. So then just like whatever, like your beds or blankets or whatever clothes, you just pretty much had one bag and came here and then.
Have another.
Okay, got you. And your brother's still there, right? Because you got the wedding.
He moved.
Who's got the wedding?
My brother, but we go.
Got you. Okay, got you. So, yeah, that was a fun fact about Modine. I was like, oh, damn, that's cool. Can you speak some? What's like? How do you say, "Hey man, how's it going" in Albanian? Usesia?
I know.
What about hey, arrivederci? Arrivederci.
See you later.
See you later, man. I know that one. I was walking around. I went to Italy like 10 years ago, and I was walking around. Arrivederci. Like, see you later. Because I just.
Where?
We went to. We were in Verona. We were in Jesolo. We were in Venice. We were in Rome. What's another big one over there? We landed in Milan, but we didn't spend any time there. Yep, I was there. Is Venice like still? Can you even not go there anymore? Well, like 2 years ago, wasn't like flooded out in Venice? It's all good now. Yeah, it's a pretty cool place. Roy Lade said he's just starting to take action now, and leads are coming in. He's so excited. Boy, you got to keep crushing it. All right, so that being said, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys. Thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever. For the we're signing off. Justin Spaulding Show, episode 16. Signing off. We'll see you next week for